Good evening. I'm so happy to be with you today on this episode of Adult Sunday School. Our lesson today is titled The Challenge of a Minister from 2 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 1 right down to 13. As usual, this book was written by Apostle Paul and he wrote this letter to the church of Corinth when he was planning to take a third visit to the church of Corinth. He had previously written a letter to them on the case of discipline and he instructed them on what to do. But unfortunately, it seems as though there were still some believers in the church of Corinth who continued to live in sin and were adamant to repent. So, first, 2 Corinthians chapter 13, Paul wrote to warn these people that when he comes for his third visit, he is still going to be severe with them because he had previously written a letter that was hard, especially the letter that he had to talk about discipline. So he was telling them that if he comes there and realizes that they are still living in sin, he's going to be severe with them. So he was applying authority as a minister to ensure that the believers grow in maturity. Unfortunately, he had a lot of challenges in that church because there were some believers or faction who said that he was a sneaky fellow, he was not eloquent in speech, and they even challenged his apostleship. That is he even sure that he spoke with the power and the spirit of Christ, and that is he even sure that he is speaking the real gospel. Now when you look at 2 Corinthians chapter 12, Paul takes time to explain what he has gone through for the sake of Christ, and he mentions that he does not even want to boast about it, but his concern is about the maturity of the Christians, and he challenges them to examine themselves. If you look at verse 5 of 2 Corinthians chapter 13, he says that before you challenge someone or before you condemn someone or test someone, you should first of all ask yourself, examine yourself if you are truly a Christian. And so the lesson of today comes to inform us that it doesn't matter what you do as a believer. If you are a believer, you are a minister, God has called you to do something, one or two things in the church, and you should know that you are going to face challenges. But how would you react in the face of challenges as a minister? One of the things we can learn from Apostle Paul is that he did not compromise, but he was sure that he was accountable to God and he was doing the right thing, and he was ready to implement discipline even if it meant that they were going to judge him wrongly. He was more concerned about the spiritual maturity of the believers than of what he did to prove to them that he was truly a child of God. So the challenge for our lesson today is that you should examine yourself before you judge another fellow minister or a believer if they are truly Christians. Thank you very much for listening.